It was the moment Keir Starmer had been dreading. Live on national television, the Prime Minister was confronted with the news he could not spin, could not dodge, and could not bury under political soundbites. The final court decision in the Lucy Connelly case had just been announced, and it sent shockwaves through the nation. In a ruling that many are calling historic, the court delivered a damning verdict on the chain of institutional failures that led to Lucy's tragic death. And when reporters put that ruling directly to Starmer, what followed was an eruption unlike anything we've seen from him before. This is Pressure's Update, and tonight, we're going to break down exactly what happened, why Starmer lost control, and how this ruling could change the political landscape in Britain forever. The Lucy Connelly case has gripped the country for months. Lucy, a young woman with her whole life ahead of her, died in circumstances that have now been officially described by the courts as preventable. The final judgment leaves no room for doubt. Institutions that should have protected her failed completely. From police negligence to social services blunders, every step of the process exposed systemic cracks. But perhaps the most politically explosive detail is this: much of that failure traces back to the period when Keir Starmer was Director of Public Prosecutions. That's why today's verdict isn't just a legal milestone, it's a political grenade. Starmer was on live TV, sitting across from a panel of journalists, when the breaking news alert hit the screen behind them. The presenter turned to him and asked the question the entire country wanted answered: Prime Minister, in light of this final ruling, will you accept responsibility for the decisions made under your leadership? For a moment, Starmer froze. His eyes darted to the camera, then back to the presenter. And then, in a rare display of emotion, he snapped. His voice rose, his hands slammed on the table, and he accused the media of trying to weaponize a tragedy for political gain. Viewers at home were stunned. This wasn't the calm, loyally Starmer who measures every word. This was a man visibly rattled, cornered, and defensive. But here's the thing: the public isn't buying it. They don't see this as political opportunism. They see it as accountability, long overdue. The ruling itself was brutal. Judges concluded that vital evidence had been ignored, warning signs had been dismissed, and procedural delays had directly contributed to Lucy's fate. One section of the ruling even went as far as to say that systemic complacency at the highest levels allowed this case to slip into tragedy. For those who know Starmer's track record as DPP, those words cut deep. Within minutes, social media was ablaze. Clips of Starmer's outburst began circulating, with hashtags like "Justice for Lucy" and "Starmer resign" trending across platforms. Survivors of similar institutional failures began speaking out, telling their own stories and calling for urgent reform. And right in the middle of this storm, opposition figures, especially Reform UK leader Richard Tice, seized the moment to hammer home a message: the establishment protects itself, not the people. What's making this situation even more explosive is the timing. Starmer's government is already under fire for a series of scandals, from economic missteps to controversial immigration policies. His approval ratings have been slipping, and Reform UK has been quietly eating into Labour's working-class base. Today's verdict gives his opponents a rallying cry they could only dream of. And make no mistake, Lucy Connelly's name will now be at the centre of British politics. Not just because of her tragic story, but because her case embodies the deep distrust so many people feel toward the system. For years, politicians have promised change. For years, victims have been told lessons will be learned. But as today's ruling shows, nothing truly changes until the people at the top are forced to take responsibility. Starmer's defenders will say he wasn't personally involved in the day-to-day handling of Lucy's case. They'll point to the thousands of files that cross a DPP's desk, the bureaucratic layers, the legal complexities. But those arguments crumble against one simple truth: leadership is about accountability. If you hold the power, you also hold the blame when the system fails. That's why today's meltdown matters. It wasn't just a bad media moment. It was a glimpse into a leader under pressure, stripped of the calm, collected image that his team works so hard to project. It was the mask slipping, and once the public sees behind it, it's almost impossible to unsee. Tonight, the political fallout is only just beginning. Calls for an independent inquiry are growing louder. Victims' rights groups are demanding that those in power past and present face questioning under oath. Reform UK is already planning rallies in Lucy's name, framing this as the ultimate battle between the people and the establishment. And here's the danger for Starmer: this isn't a story that will quietly fade. The final court decision has locked it into the public record forever. Every time he tries to change the subject, opponents will bring it back to Lucy. Every policy speech, every campaign appearance, the question will hang in the air: why did you fail her? In politics, there are moments you can spin, moments you can ride out, and moments that stick to you like glue. This is one of the latter. For now, Starmer's team will be in full damage control mode, trying to frame his outburst as passion or frustration rather than weakness. But the footage speaks for itself, and in the age of social media, a single viral clip can define a politician for years. Lucy's family, for their part, have issued a short but powerful statement. They welcomed the ruling, saying it brought a measure of justice but made it clear they believe more needs to be done. They have called for real accountability, not just apologies. Those words will echo in the halls of Westminster long after today.